odd today that the live stream is on your feed. Well, let's get going. Good morning. Let's get up and go. It's Friday. It's time for Magic the Gathering talks and stocks for each and every one of you folks that's getting up to move here this morning. Nice to see you, Gaming Bob. Thanks for joining us here today. It's good to be on the stream here this Friday, if you know what I mean. We've got a couple of interesting things to cover. What's new since yesterday? Well, I'll tell you what's new. Just stay tuned and we'll get to what's new and what's happening in the world of Magic the Gathering. There's a very interesting Fallout deck that may be the best pre-con ever. I mean, ever. And we're going to discuss that here today, this morning, with the folks who are tuning in. It's going to be a good one. It's Yabba Dabba Doo Day. It's Friday, and we're just about getting set to slide down that dinosaur's tail, just like Freddie Flintstone would do. It's good to see you here. Benson's in the house. We got friends and fans of the Magic the Gathering game. All right, well, let's warm up just a little bit this morning while we get some more people in the stream. You know what I mean? You know how we like to do that. We've got to just get the chops limbered up here a little bit. This morning, we're going to take a look at some AI generated magic cards. That's always a fun way to start the stream. You know the rules. If you've been here once before, I'll go over them once again for you here this morning. If the card is playable any way whatsoever, even if it's a little bit overcosted, perhaps it's overpowered, we'll give it a pass. You'll hear this sound, the dinger. And if the card is got any gibberish on it whatsoever, it's non-functional junk text, if it's got gobbledygook on there, something that doesn't make any sense, if it's missing an integral part of a magic card, we're going to fail it right now. We'll hear this sound. The sound of the buzzing, cousin. All right, it's good to be here this morning. Let's take it over to Robo Rosewater here this morning. Let's take a look and see what we've got for you folks this morning. You know, dun dun dun. Holy moly. Well, let's fix that up. All right, let's see here. Inner adjustment here today. Let's do this. There's a new one here. Well, we got a little technical difficulty. Of course, it's Friday. You can always lose the remote control. That can happen. And you know what happens when you lose the remote control? It's always left in some remote location. That's definitely where you'll find it. What about this card here? We've got the Wretched. This seems like a magic card. Could be, would be, might be a magic card. What do you folks think? One black and one for a sorcery. All you sorcerers in the stream here this morning. All right. Couple of technical difficulties, but nothing we can't overcome. Of course. Let's take a look at this one here. Does it meet the criteria? It's got a black and one on it. It's a sorcery. It says, one black and one, the Wretched deals X damage divided as you choose among X target creatures, where X is the greatest mana value of a commander you own on the battlefield. I like it. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. So you get a fog, but you also get a burn spell. If you've got your commander out, you don't have to pay X. It's good. Bob Skaggs pass. I have to agree. Let's pass it. What are the ratings on this one? Fair OP. We're gonna give it a fair OP. I think it's just fine. The other day I realized I have a lot of growing up to do. I only realized that inside my fort. Just the other day, I was up in my tree fort. I realized I got a lot of growing up to do. But this card here, featured on X, the Haven Gull Street. This seems like a sorcery red 2x. 2 red and X for this one. Havengold Street deals X damage to each creature with mana value X. And you draw X cards, you gain X life. Ooh, draw X cards, gain X life. I'm skeptical if anyone tells me they do yoga every day. It's a little bit of a stretch, don't you think? Not a stretch to pass this card. Bob says it's a pass. It's OP though. Havengold Street deals X damage to each creature with mana value X. And you draw X cards and gain X life. Very good card. This one's OP too, Bob. You give it an OP. OPP. You down with the OPP? Yeah, you know me. You down with Bro D? Yeah, you know me. I saw comments on the internet just the other day. People were looking for a more balanced Hymn to Torak. They said Hymn to Torak should get a more balanced version. You don't know what's unbalanced about Hymn to Torak as it is. It seems like a pretty good card for 2 black. You can make target player discard 2 cards at random. But here's another discard spell. For a black and 2, you got a sorcery that says target player discards 2 cards at random. It's pretty much Hymn to Torak for 1 more mana. Double black is Hymn to Torak, but this one's black and 2, so it seems fine. Let's pass it. Some wicked art on the Roar of the Void. Roaring into the stream here this morning. Fair? I'm going to give this a fair. It doesn't seem like a stretch to make this a fair card. All right, if you were dating an FBI agent and you broke up, would they be your FedEx? Perhaps they would be. Legion's Pism. We got a green card to take a look at here. And why do people like tonic water? Because it schweps you off your feet. All right, what do we got? Legion's Pism. A 4 and a green. 4 and a green is what you get for the Legion's Pism. Pism? As an additional cost to cast this creature or this spell, you sack a creature, and target player shuffles their hand library and graveyard, then draws all the cards. We left off on this one yesterday. It's OP. It only bodes the question. Tonic's bad for you. It only bodes the question. Which cards do you get to draw? Just your own, or do you get to draw? It says you draw all cards. So do you get to draw your opponent's cards? I think it'd be much better if you did. This thing seems fair. It seems functional anyway. Is it overpowered? Yes, it's a little overpowered. But Brody, with power creep, how are we supposed to get some of these existing cards off the ban list? Right? All right, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. Of course. Then it just becomes salad. All right? Tossed into the stream here this morning. It's Friday, folks, if you know what I mean. It's Brody Alfonso bringing you the Friday edition of the Morning Magic the Gathering Talks and Stocks Show. Ask yourself the question, do you like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Is there enough information out there, or is there just too much gall darn information? Let me do it for you. I'm here in the mornings during the week doing a little bit of live streaming. For those of you folks who like to crack open packs and shuffle up stacks of Magic the Gathering cards, not that hard to join me wherever you are, wherever you've got Brody dragging along for the ride, whether you got me on the bumper of the car next to you, on the water cooler, perhaps you got me duct taped to the front of your snow shovel or the baby stroller and you're out for a walk this morning. Maybe you're just getting ready to make a little breakfast. I'd like you to join me down this stream and with you on your Magic the Gathering finance journey. I've got an article here for you folks, and we're talking about the best Voltron pre-con deck ever. Ever? Ever, ever. Forever, Brody? Forever. All right. Friends last forever, and this Voltron deck is definitely one we're going to have to look at. We should meet up. Tonic's bad for you. Good morning, Dennis. Nice to see you here. Dennis? All right. We have enough youth. How about a fountain of smart? Wouldn't that be better than a fountain of youth? A fountain of smarts? Man, we could get some folks to drink from that. I mean, a clear conscience is usually a sign of a bad memory, but since money can't buy you happiness, check this out. I bought myself a Happy Meal. All right. This deck is the best deck ever, and it's got a puppy on it. And I like it because, puppies are fluffy and they make me happy. So travel with me in distant past of 1997, folks, when we somewhat obscured game called Fallout hit the shelves. One of the most impactful events in that game was befriending a loyal dog that followed you around and was surprisingly powerful in combat. Unfortunately, it was nearly impossible to keep dog meat alive through an entire playthrough of the game. Bear with me. Myself, I'm not too familiar with the Fallout game, so I'm going to have to head down the memory lane with you folks together. Thankfully, fasting forward 25 years, dog meat has been revived time and time again and for almost every Fallout game. Through these repeat appearances and certainly good boy status, dog meat is undeniably iconic as if his legacy wasn't enough, now Dogmeat lives on in the Scrappy Survivors Fallout Precon deck. Not only does this deck have an adorable face commander, just like your host, but it always appears to boast high replay value and massive variety of build choices. Two interesting but different commanders here. This one's Naya. Dogmeat, ever loyal. This is what's coming in the new Precon decks. When Dogmeat enters the battlefield, mill 5 cards, then return an aura or equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever a creature you control that's enchanted or equipped attacks, create a junk token. So the junk token is new. I see that. It's quite an interesting mechanic. You get these tokens that you can sacrifice and exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn. So it gives you like the Ragavan ability on a token. That's what the junk tokens do. So this is the new junk for the new set. All right, while Dogmeat Ever Loyal is just one card that you can easily pilot two completely decks. If you want, you can pick between an aura-based strategy or an equipment-focused one. On top of this, Dogmeat even creates the new junk tokens, which provide impulse draw. Since these abilities work together, Dogmeat Ever Loyal is 3 in 1. The fact that Dogmeat triggers the same with either aura or equipment means that you can include it in many different decks with many different cards at no risk missing the right type of card. In Commander, this utility is invaluable, as cards like Saram, the Senior Artificer. Saram has fallen out of favor. He was quite pops. He was super populaire, but now he's not. And Jukai Journalist prove that both are effective, and the Journalist only really works in one deck, but while activating Stram's ability is a total breeze. Ultimately, a good card either has to be focused on, but low cost, have an excellent utility, and work in a variety of situations. Dogmeat crushes the latter, and it is also cheap to boot. It gives the commander no end of options should you take them out of this flavorful deck. In Commander, there are also plenty of existing ways to cast excellent aura spells and strategies that look good on the surface, but you're not forced into that route at all, including an equipment that won't hurt your synergies. This is a smart design choice, but wait, there's more. Preston Garvey Minuteman. Should we save the Minuteman jokes? All right. You don't need a parachute to go skydiving. You need a parachute to go skydiving twice. That's fact. And there was a kid that was caught and arrested in town trying to sell shoelaces as a business out at the playground. He claimed it was a not for profit organization. Got off, no charges. Preston Garvey, the Minuteman, legendary creature, human soldier, 4/4. What's a P and T? What's a PT on this dog? The dog's a 3/3, and Preston Gary's a 4/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you create a green aura enchantment token named Settlement attached up to one target land you control. Enchanted land has tap, add mana of any color, and when Preston Garvey Minuteman attacks, untap each enchanted permanent you control. So enchantments matter. All right, speaking of Preston, like button, Preston, subscribe button, and Preston, notification bell. Oh, a sneasel this morning. Okay, well, Dogmeat is the generalist. Preston Garvey's the Minuteman, and he's focused specialist. Preston is all about auras and even creates aura tokens on your lands. At first glance, its ability indicates he's sort of a mini Bear Umbra, but of course, in a deck that's full of auras, you're also going to get to untap all your enchanted permanents. So if you're looking for easy acceleration, Bloom Tender and Sanctum Weaver will do incredibly well should you get infinite attack steps. From Hellkite Charger and Aggravated Assault, these mana dorks could go infinite. While not as consistent, the strategy is already present in a deck thanks to Grim Reaper's Sprint. Out of the box, it'll be difficult to tell if Preston will be better commander than Dogmeat, but once you tune the deck for power, Preston may be the more consistent game ender. But on the other hand, Cass, the Hand of Vengeance, the 4/3 legendary Boros Human Ranger that costs you 1 red, a white, and 2, has Vigilant. And whenever Cass or another creature you control dies, it was enchanted or equipped, return any number of aura cards that were attached to it from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to target creature, then attach any number of equipment that were attached to that creature. Seems like equipment and aura is very, very popular in this new set. As if 2 compelling commanders weren't enough, though, already. This deck even has a third. Unfortunately, to their color identity, they don't work right out of the box, but Cast the Hand of Vengeance is nonetheless busted. If anything you control dies, you get it back. Your auras and equipment from that creature go on to another creature, and that's great. To make the already stellar cast even better, this deck includes a reprint of Mantle of the Ancients, which lets you continuously suit up one creature with every single aura and equipment on it. Let's see this Mantle. Enchanted creature you control for 5. Okay, when Mantle enters the battlefield, return any number of target aura equipment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets 1/1 for each aura and equipment on it. Attached to it. Wow. So we're going tall here. Yes, I see that. The Voltron Dex. Very, very powerful. Lets you continuously suit up one of your creatures with all your auras and equipment. So you have always got a monumental threat. Not only does this let you create a gigantic monster of epic proportions, but it also gives you recursion. So should you still not be satisfied with the new card Almost Perfect, let's take a look. Almost Perfect, just about. Enchant creature has base power toughness 9/10 and has indestructible. Wow. Now we've got some pretty impressive auras coming to us by way of the Fallout set. It gives you indestructible, and thanks to the flavorful addition, getting rid of your new behemoth is going to be incredibly difficult. Unfortunately, for your opponent, they'll have to keep finding answers again and again and again and again. But goes tall, but what about wide? Three Dog Galaxy News. We're checking out the Fallout spoilers, the pre-con decks, and we're giving a bit of a discussion about it. What do you folks think? Anybody buying the Fallout decks? I know Dustin was really wanted to buy them because of the Commander lands. The Command Tower. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to have to take a look at the spoiler for the new Command Tower. Dustin said it was good enough to buy 4 of. Hot Dice, nice to see you. Feeling hot this morning? Well, Three Dog Galaxy News DJ is possibly the card for you. It's a human bard, and it's a 1/5. What a butt on this one. A Boros card costs you a red, a white, and 1. Whenever you attack, you may pay 2 and sacrifice an aura attached to Three Dog Galaxy News DJ. When you sacrifice an aura this way for each other attacking creature that you control, create a token that's a copy of that aura attached to that creature. Wow, they've really gone hard. It's a 3 dog. Ow. Right? I know. We get unfortunately for me, the characters don't resonate like they might for you folks. I'm fairly new to the whole Fallout set, the Fallout game, so I don't have the lore in my back pocket to discuss it. So this card in this set is really something that I'm learning about just as quick as I can because it's not a set that resonates and speaks to me. If you saw Dual Brains video yesterday, I thought it was pretty good. I watched a video from Dual Brain about players skipping sets and only buying the sets that resonate with them. Unfortunately for Wizards, I was not engaged in Fallout at all out during my youth. And this set means nothing to me. It doesn't. So I might just skip it and take another break from Magic altogether. But some people are hyped about it. Some people are excited. It might just be worth losing a few games to it, and then I'll have to see how good it is. With a Scrappy Survivors deck, one of your potential win cons is the Three Dog Galaxy News, and out of the boxes features several auras that grow for each aura you have in play. Get an all that glitters or a strong bag, and the Three Dog watches as your board swells in power and toughness. Good morning, Time Capsule. Nice to see you. We're talking about the Commander precons from the new Fallout set. Before you get to this point, you'll have to generate a wide board buff with Three Dog. Thankfully, both Squirrel's Nest and Preston are great ways to generate a lot of tokens. You should really want to lean into this strategy, however, doubling season wouldn't be amiss. I'll likely skip Fallout for Final Fantasy. Wait, till Call of Duty up. Even bigger than Fallout. Okay. At only 3 mana, you can easily get the 3 dog out with protection backup to keep him safe. While this deck hardly revolves around this go wide option, 3 dog is nonetheless capable of ending the game. But does it interact? Yes. Inventory management is an instant card. A lot of Boros support here, it seems like. Plenty of Boros support in the new Fallout set. Inventory management is an instant with Split Second is back. Oh, in an instant. Split Second is back means nobody can put anything on the stack until this thing resolves. So for each aura or equipment you control, you may attach it to a creature you control. Ugh, just because we didn't have enough support for Hammer Time. Now we have more support for Hammer Time. Good morning, Richie Dubs. 2026 Minecraft MTG My Creeper attacks with a diamond pick axe equipped. I mean, why not? I see we're probably never going to run out of IPs and crossovers and universes beyond. And over recent years, the general quality of most precons have been steadily improved. Most recently and notably, there's been a massive jump in the reprint value of many pre-constructed decks. Beyond this detail, the general contents of precons are simply a lot better than what they used to be. Nowadays, your deck should have board wipe. It should have protection effects. It should have good single target or removal spells and a couple of catch-all catchy cards. Scrappy Survivors has all that and something interesting and new with some twists as well. We like the twists. Look forward to inventory management featuring the very rare split second keyword. So now the Hammer Time players can equip their Colossus Hammer again at instant speed because we didn't need that. I think COD sucks since Call of Duty sucks since MW2. You think there's a lot of crossover with MTG and Call of Duty? I don't know. It's just something that Richie said, I think, that could possibly come down the pipe. Let's have a sip of coffee. All right, using this new card, you can potentially give a creature indestructible or hexproof to beat otherwise inescapable removal. But alongside this, you can also toss double strike and a pile of extra damage onto an unblocked creature. Inventory management is both versatile and uncounterable, and it's a very cool trick that's completely unique. On top of this brand new and unique combat trick, Scrappy Survivors has plenty of staples with the deck containing both the tooltips, heroic inventory tooltips, and the versatile Valorous stands. You always have the potential for protection, right? While these effects are undeniably useful, Scrappy Survivors can also do a number on your opponent's creatures. If you check out Over Encumbered, so here's a card. Over Encumbered for 2 manas. When it enters the battlefield, create an enchanted. Oh, it's an aura enchant opponent. When it enters the battlefield, enchanted opponent creates a clue, a food, and a junk token. At the beginning of combat on enchanted opponent's turn, that player may pay 1 for each artifact they control. If they don't, creatures can't attack this combat. That seems all right. I think these junk tokens are going to be actually quite good. If they want to sell cardboard, they should cater to the player. I really think the junk tokens are going to be good. I think out of anything in this set, we're going to see the ability to take cards off the top of your deck. The clue tokens, there's an activation cost, but the junk tokens don't have an activation. So you don't have to pay mana in them. It's almost a free card draw that you can play till end of turn. So for 2 mana, you get a clue, a food, and a junk with the over encumbered, which seems terrible at first, but thankfully later after this, the enchanted opponent cannot attack unless they pay 1 mana for each artifact you control. This is a very interesting, powerful take on propaganda and ghostly prison or sphere of safety style effects. From the moment this enchantment lands, you prevent your opponents from attacking unless they pay the fee, right? Tax is very, very popular in Commander, especially with Rhystic Study, Mystic Remora, and now this card. Not being able to attack unless you pay 1 for each artifact you control, well, it seems like you're going to be giving them 3 artifacts to start with. And luckily, since every commander deck loves mana rocks, it's likely overencumbered could cost 5 or 6 manas initially, unless they're willing to use treasures to crack the clue in the food, but this will linger for quite a while, making over encumbered incredibly powerful. More Fallout cards revealed the price of a baby? What? MTG Fallout cards revealed the price of a baby. I don't know what they're getting at. Land base, a waste? So you got some filter lands coming back. Sunscorched Divide. This is a filter land that adds a Boros. We had this earlier in Magic the Gathering. Stop trying to win over non-players with a gimmickery. We need more non-players to claim some wins in tournaments, I would hope. I think they're going for is like they want somebody to like win a tournament with the bobblehead doll. Or the luck bobblehead. The one that wins you the game if you roll 7 6s. I think that's what they're going for. They're like, no, we don't want people to like try to focus on creating creative, powerful, and gameplay synergies that crush tournaments. We want to see if somebody can go like the longest, hardest round the mulberry bush route to try and take down a tournament while rolling dice. It's the most far-fetched, unanticipated possibility to win a game using the dice rolling mechanic off the luck bobblehead. So that's what we want people to do. And we've got an award for the person who does it. Follow precons include brand new filter lands, completing a cycle that was first started in Odyssey up in 2001. Yes, and Scorched Divide is part of the cycle that started 20 years ago, my age. The problem is that the original filter lands are modest in power at best and force you to tap 1 mana, then activate the land can be every bit awkward. The deck also includes Temple of the False God, which is a relatively polarizing land. Is that the one that taps for 2 mana, but you have to have like 5 lands on the battlefield? Yes. False God taps for 2. It's like the Ancient Tomb, but you can only use it if you have 5 or more lands. I like these lands. They're good for 2-color EDH decks. I agree, Tommy. I think the lands are not too bad. I like them better than the filter lands that you got to pay colored mana into. I think they're a little bit better. The fact that you can pay colorless mana to filter your mana, I think that's a step in the right direction, making them a little bit more useful because sometimes you need that fixing. You do. You need to fix. Because they only force you to tap 1 mana, then you can activate the land and make your colors. The deck also includes Temple of False God, which is a relatively polarizing land and usual for the pre-constructed decks, especially in Commander. There are quite a few lands that enter the battlefield tapped in Scrappy Survivors. Thankfully, it seems like they wanted to include more tapped 2-color lands this time around, so Wizards completed the cycle. And unfortunately, an opening hand with multiple filter lands or a Temple of the False God does not work. You cannot make any mana. It seemed like the land formula for precons was refined, but this seems like another small misstep. This is much like some of the land decisions in Murders of Karloff Manor pre-constructed decks. For 2 colors, these filtered lands are perfectly acceptable. And in a 3 or more color build, perhaps you can get into many poor situations as keeping 1 mana open can be impossible, and taking a forced mulligan with multiple lands in your opening hand because not one of them tap for mana. Feels pretty bad. That being said, all the deck needs to do is be able to consistently turn 3 dog meat So it's kind of a bummer though. See these lands, they don't tap for mana. Oh, yes, that's a downside. Ooh, how did I miss that? Seems bad. Let's give it a buzz. Lands that don't tap for mana, all they do is filter. It's gonna be a long road to see if these things actually see play in players' decks. Lands that don't tap for mana, that can be quite bad. A numbers game, Pip-Boy 3000. We got another equipment here. 1 mana for the artifact equipment that says equip creature attacks, choose one. You get to sort your inventory, which means draw a card then discard. So basically loot. Pick a perk, +1/+1 counter on target creature. And check the map, untap up to 2 target lands. Oh. Untap up to 2 target lands and equip 2. I like the third one. I'm down to clown with a third ability. I want to untap lands. I dislike this land cycle. Dalton, I do too. I don't like the fact that it doesn't tap for mana. Ugh. Brutal. But what about the Pip-Boy 3000? Seems like a decent artifact. You can make it to draw a card. You can use it to put counters on. I think the draw card, the loot ability, and the untap 2 lands ability is like the big Teferi ability on a creature whenever it attacks. Seems pretty good for 1 mana. Yeah, we'll see. I might be able to play this in a lands deck, like something that with Winter Orb, we were talking the other day. Boo! Hiss! Hot. I'll say it for you, Hot Dice. Come on, let's see some booing and some hissing in the chat when we're talking about Winter Orb. Here's the Pip-Boy. You can untap 2 of your lands. How about that? It's good, right? It's good. Now you're friends with the Winter Orb. Everybody likes it because of this Pip-Boy 3000. Pip-Boy 3000 comes with a Winter Orb on the side. You too can get yourself a fresh Pip-Boy 3000, including a copy of the Winter Orb. Available in 3D printed versions for all your Magic the Gathering tabletop fun and enjoyment. Boo! Hiss! All right, a deck that lives and dies by the numbers, except for when you have flexibility. The Pip-Boy 3000 gives you something for all occasions. If you need to dig, it's got that, but you want to buff a creature, the deck does that. And you need a little bit more mana, well, it does that too. The Pip-Boy 3000 does not, however, increase your aura count. Surprisingly, for a deck with Dogmeat Everloyal as a commander, Scrappy Survivor is a little bit light on auras and equipment. Thankfully, to get around this, Dogmeat can mill you 5. Ideally, this allows you to hit 5 aura cards or enchantment cards and play them, but the odds of that aren't great. With less than 1 in 5 odds, Dogmeat's a hardly guaranteed value engine thanks to the flexibility that Dogmeat provides of somewhat low count on the buff effects. It's completely manageable. This is thanks to their ability to generate junk or impulse draws, which prevents you from stalling out. Ultimately, this just lets you focus on your game plan for mill, recur, buff, and smash. Repeat. Mill, recur, buff, smash, repeat. At the end of the day, the stock Scrappy Survivors deck may need some tweaks, but the potential to engineer a new Naya Voltron deck with Dogmeat at the helm is very high. Within this archetype, building around 2 permanent types is significantly liberating. Furthermore, when we destroy them in response to don't auto-lose, because you'll have multiple forms of built-in recursion. This is the best Voltron pre-con out of the box. It certainly looks like it in just a couple of weeks when we get our hands on the deck and we get to try it. So thank you for this article. It's a good one. And Dalton, if you're in the chat, I want to ask you, I saw some new tech on Reanimator. Actually, it was sideboard tech for Legacy that I saw, and I think I might have a need for a card that you can't touch. A card you can't touch. What is it? What is a card so hot you can't touch? What is a card so clutch you can't touch? It's this card, Phage the Untouchable. I'm looking. Let me see. Did I retweet? I might have retweeted. Give me a second. I'll pull it up. But I got some interesting tech that came out just the other day, and I like it. So I shared it with some friends. It's this card, Phage the Untouchable. So here's a card that I saw on Twitter just yesterday, and people were talking about it, and they talked about sideboard tech for Legacy against Legacy Reanimator. Oh, so what are we talking about here? Let's bring this over. Let me get a couple screens going here because I want to try and find this post. I found it quite interesting. So Phage the Untouchable is pretty much the uncastable in Commander. You can't do much with Phage because, well, let's face it, if you cast it from anywhere from your hand, you are going to have a bad day. Bad day. But nevertheless, what happens if somebody else is playing Reanimation? Well, this could be a way to get around it. I'm playing Rakdos right now, and with a card like Phage the Untouchable as a creature in the deck, it could be kind of an interesting bit of tech, something that I might want to include in the Rakdos deck. So how is this possibly going to be good? Well, if we can somehow, even if we can cast Phage the Untouchable, put it on the battlefield from our hand, that's the only way we're going to be able to put her into the play without losing the game. She's got this whenever it deals combat damage to a player, uh, to a creature, destroy that creature. So it's pretty much got Death Touch, but then it's also got this interesting ability that says if uh, whenever Phage deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. So it's got like the bad touch. She's got the touch. She's got the bad touch. And then this other part that says if she comes into play and you didn't play it from your hand, you lose the game. So what I'm trying to think is a little because I'm playing Rakdos and it has a tough time with Grixis and especially with combo. So maybe Phage is a way that we can outsmart the Rakdos Reanimator players. If we can get Phage into the graveyard and use Deflecting Swat when they go to reanimate their win condition target, I think they lose the game. So that's what I'm trying. I'm building Crick in EDH. I was wondering if Phage can go in it. LOL. Phage can go in it, but you can't cast her from the command zone. That's the other problem with Phage. Unless you've got something like Platinum Angel on the battlefield that allows you not to lose the game, Phage is pretty much the uncastable. But as a reanimate target, if your opponents are trying to reanimate like their Kiki Jiki or perhaps their win con out of the graveyard to go ahead and win the game, say you've got Phage the Untouchable. If you can throw her in the bin and then Deflecting Swat their reanimation target to Phage, then they put Phage into the battlefield at instant speed, and then they lose the game. It'd be easier for you just to exile their graveyard. It would. But I'd rather them just lose the game. I like to punish them for trying to reanimate stuff. Yes, I know it would be easier to exile the graveyard. I got to throw some exile effects. Exile, effexile. Well, I was looking at Phage. I thought she's pretty strong. 7 mana, though, for this 4/4. Some people say she's a zombie, but nevertheless, this is the Untouchable. We are the Untouchables. Let's go to our interest list here. Let's go to our watch list here and watch cards. Cards that we were looking at yesterday. Now, I've still got a little bit of a backlog. I've got to add the Surveil lands for Dalton. Here we're tracking the prices of Magic cards here on our watch list. Now that we've got our premium MTG stocks membership rolling, this is what we've got on here. Watch Planes 1513. Okay, let's check it out. Tommy wants Planes 1513. Let's find it. Might take a minute just for that to come up because there's a few planes in the game. The rain and plane falls mainly 1513? 1513. Might be tough for me to find. There it is there. Secret Layer. Planes. It's funny that Tommy knows the exact number. I love it. Planes 1513. We're adding that to the list here this morning. Refresh. Secret Layer Planes. I like it. Okay, we'll hit the refresh button here and let's get a little bit more of a list going. Come on. You can do it. Watch cards. Just thinking about it. Elemental P. Planes 1513. That's this one? Aww. That's the cutest planes ever. Of course, the people who like Mountain 1514 and Forest 1515. Made the spreadsheet web-based, but I don't think it loads on mobile. Can you check it on a desktop? I think I might be able to. Let's load up a couple more. So we want mountain. Mountain 1514. Ah, these are all from the secret layers. And Forest 1515. Tommy's Picks. Secret Layer series. I want to check out the art on those. All right, a positive attitude may not solve all your problems, but it will definitely annoy people enough to make it worth the effort. What else we got to add to the list? So we got some interesting planes, and then let's find the mountain 1514. Is this? Yes, this is the one with cats and dogs. And then it's super cute though. This could very well be. What is it worth? So the planes 1513. There's no pricing available. It's about $5. Market the foil version $5. $5 for a basic planes. Mountain is 10, and forest 1515. Now here's a card I added to the list that I think is going to be good for a long time. I'm looking for this card. I still haven't got a copy of it, but I'm hoping that perhaps in my my bundles that I ordered Bob. I finally did it. Murray, I did it. I ordered 3 of the bundles from Lord of the Rings, and you know what put me over the top? When you walk into the collectibles store and they've got a copy of the bundle One Ring for $99, and I can order the bundle for $89. It includes the One Ring that's in it. So I had to break down and cry, and then break down and buy a couple of those Lord of the Rings bundles. So it comes with 8 booster packs. I can't wait till they get here, because then I'll finally get myself a copy of the One Ring. Then I can perhaps crack some packs. And then since it's from the Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle Earth, I really want to hope to crack this one, the 4th Aralinga. Seems decent in Commander, and I want to play it in the lands deck. So I'm hopefully going to get that one. Yes, Murray, I did finally get it ordered. Why didn't Noah invite termites on the ark? Probably not a good choice. Life's like a bird. It's pretty cute until it poops on your head. And change is inevitable, except from a vending machine. Then you probably won't get any. Any speculations you folks want to put on here? Nice bundle purchase. I know. I was between Coach. It was between buying the 4-pack of the pre-con decks. I think it was $289 or $275 Canadian for the 4 pre-constructed decks, which isn't a bad deal. They only had 3 of them left. And I was like, oh, should I buy the Fallout set, the 4 commander decks for $275? Or should I go ahead and pick up myself some Lord of the Rings bundles, because I need the One Ring? And I better get it now, because I don't think that One Ring is going to be reprinted anytime soon. I don't think we're going to see a reprint on it too soon, and it's probably going to carry on in price. It's going to go up. I can't see it going down, so I have to get one while the get-in is still good. I put in a bunch of reserve watch lists into my spreadsheet. I can make you as many watch lists as you want. Gotta buy the Fallout sets. You gotta buy the Fallout sets, like the Commander decks, Dustin. I looked at them. I didn't buy the precons. I bought the Lord of the Rings bundles instead, because I need the One Ring. I'm like a couple of sets behind, and I'm dragging my feet. Don't really want to spend the meat on the new sets. I mean, Walmart is lowering prices every day. Why isn't anything in the store free yet? I don't understand. All right, build a man of fire, he'll be warm all day. Set a man on fire, he'll be warm for the rest of his life. Knowledge is power, and power corrupts, so study hard and be evil, right? That's the way of the world, isn't it? If they're anything like the Warhammer one, it'll be worth it. Yes, tell me about it. Another game that I don't play that I thought maybe I should pick up. Everything is free at Walmart if you try hard enough, right? All right. TV can insult your intelligence, but nothing rubs it in quite like a computer. And if you're tempted to fight fire with fire, always remember the fire department usually uses water and some causes of happiness wherever they go, and others whenever they go. So, some people cause happiness wherever they go, and others create happiness whenever they go. Any other speculations? So let's just do a quick recap here before we get to the mover and the shaker, les movers and the shakers this morning. All right, we've got Agatha's Soul Cauldron. These are our group speculations. So cards we want to watch: Agatha's Soul Cauldron, definitely a card that. Oh, pointer's not working today. Very sad. Brody's Lions pen's not working. It's showing up for me, but it's not showing up for you. How to fix that? Let's take a look here. Let's fix it. Oh, there we go. Hey, nope. Let's see here. All Brody wants to do is put lines on charts. Where's my arrow? There we go. How can we do this without Brody's tool here? I hate Soul Cauldron or Sir Devi Digger if we want to hurt the Moxman's feelings. The Warhammer decks are still below MSRP. Rainbow Veil for the good boys and girls. Are we watching any reserve list cards like Power Artifact or Power Leech? Power Artifact? Let's take a look here. So we got Agatha's Soul Cauldron, Bad River. These are the fetch lands for Mirage. They're only $1 or $2. We've got Desert Nomads because the possibility of like deserts becoming relevant again. That was a pick from yesterday from one of our fantastic fans and viewers here. I can't remember. I didn't tag everybody's name, but I do remember. I think that was it might have been Tom Mitchell or Tommy Siddons. Nevertheless, if Desert Nomad's your pick, just remind me. We've got the Dreams of Steel and Oil from the Brothers War. I think this is a Benson pick. Dust to Dust from 5th edition. Echoing Deeps, that's my pick. This is Forest 1515. Not me. This is Tommy's right here. The Forest 1515 and the Plains and the Mountain. 4th Aerolingus, that's a Brody pick. Phrenic F. Freed from Mirage. Now, this is an interesting card. This was Dustin's pick from yesterday. Now, I was walking down the street and I felt a funny feeling in my Efreet. And this card, I started thinking about it and I was like, if we were talking about it yesterday, so it's a 2-1, right? It's a flying Efreet, and it's got 0 flip a coin. Target opponent calls heads or tails while the coin is in the air. If the flip ends up in your favor, Frantic Efreet phases out, otherwise bury it. So we know we've got Krark, and we know we've got the Sakashima deck, and we know we've got decks that let you flip coins. And if perhaps there is ever a card printed, Brody, did you find out about trios, by the way? Shh, I didn't find out yet. I want to go. I do want to go to trios. Infinite flip triggers. Yes. Infinite. I'm sorry, Dustin. I just want to skip town and go to trios. I'm working on it. I really am working on it. I promise you. I promise you. I know. There's an event that I want to go to with Dustin, and it's happening in March. So it's coming up very quickly. And I think I just want to lock the doors and drive the truck and get out of here and just go. That's what I want to do. I'm just trying to see my way clear. Okay, so Phrenic Efreet. The Efreet. Infinite flip triggers. If there's ever a card, now this is why this is such a good, it's in Chilliwack. If there's ever a card that says if you flip a coin, you take a damage. Or if there's ever a card printed that says whenever a player flips a coin, bad things happen, this card is going to go up in price because it's a possibility that somewhere down the road, say there's a card that says whenever opponent flips a coin, they take a damage, or whenever a player flips a coin, they take a damage, or whenever a player flips a coin, they sack a permanent, or whenever a player flips a coin, they lose a life. The frantic Efreet is GG's at that point because you can put infinite coin flips on the stack. I was also thinking that if you wanted to, you could just ask somebody to sit there and flip coins for the rest of the day unless they want to concede. I guess I put 750,000 coin flip triggers on the stack and you get to sit there and flip coins 750 times. And if that's not okay, you could always scoop to lose the game. I think that you could actually put somebody into like a form of purgatory with this card if you put infinite flips on the stack. Nevertheless, an interesting card from the Mirage block, and there's lots of reserve list stuff in there. So I think there's another possible interaction on the speculation with the Frantic Efreet. Kabira Takedown from Zendikar. I think this is a Benson spec. Deal damage equal to the number of creatures you control the target creature or planeswalker. Actually quite good for 2 mana. And then we get the Masked Vandal. Here's a card that kept going up. It was on the movers and the shakers list a few times. Put someone in an oubliette. Exactly. Memory Jar. This is one of my favorite ones. Here's another cute mountain from Tommy Siddons. This is a $5 secret layer spec. I like it. And Nova Pinnacle, this was brought to us by one of the viewers here on the show yesterday. Persist, a decent card that I think is probably going to keep going up with the advent of the Surveil lands. I think the Persist card with the Surveil lands, it could be quite good. We'll see if we got any tournament. It's too early to tell with the Surveil lands. As soon as people start winning tournaments with the Surveil lands, maybe with a card like Persist, then we'll know. Also add Comet Stellar Pup. On that list, dice rolling shenanigans is Mardu might go up here, worth infinity dollars. Okay, so we're going to add Comet Stellar Pup. Okay, I got the planes 15-13, the cutest planes in the game. Relic Barrier, Scavenging Grounds, and any of the deserts that are coming up. I think somebody said yesterday that any of the deserts could be good again. Off to work. Ciao, ciao. Enjoy your day, Murray. Have a good one. And then Transmute Artifact. So there we go. We've got Transmute Artifact on the list. I think that was the one that Coach was asking about. So we got Transmute, not Power Artifact or Power Leech. Let's add those two. We're gonna add the Power Leech as well. We've got Soldevi Digger if we want to hurt. We got Soldevi Digger. We got Soldevi Excavations on there. So we'll add Power Leech, and then we'll add Comet Stellar Pup to the list of speculation. Power Leech. If it's 2 words, there we go. From Antiquity. Power Leech. It's all one word. Power Leech. All right. And then Comet Stellar Pup. Let's see. Make sure it went on there. Okay. Refresh. Power Leech. It's a good card. Is it $10 right now? No. Yeah. It's $10 right now. This is a steal of a deal. The low in the market for Power Leech is $10. 10 to $20 seems insanely good. Gain 1 life whenever an opponent's artifacts become tapped. That includes treasure tokens, includes clue tokens, any of the junk tokens, or whenever the activation cost of one of opponent's artifact is paid, it's not triggered by continuous artifacts. Seems quite good. Power Leech sounds like a Pokemon move. Don't forget Harbingers, Kithkin, Merfolk, Ferry. All right, one per customer, Benson. One per customer per day. You're going to have to tune in tomorrow. Give me some other ones. Let's go Comet, Stellar, Pup. From Unfinity, the little fluffy puppy, hey? All right, building a list of speculations here this morning. It's quite. What's that? Do you hear that sound? I do. It's time for a recap, folks, for the week. It's time for moving in your seat. It's time to get moving and shaking here this morning on the stream. It's Friday. It's friggin' Friday, y'all. Are you happy about that? I know I am. We got a couple of new subscribers yesterday. It was pretty awesome. We got a great couple of new subscribers. So I want to thank you, whoever you are, wherever you are. Whoever you are for tuning in, you let me know. It's nice to see you. Leave us a comment. Did you hear Did you hear the one about the guy who got hit in the head with a can of soda? It was lucky it was a soft drink. All right. And now it's time for the part of the show that we like so much. We like to shake and bake, and we like to move and shake. And we hear the beat when we move and shake in our seats. It's Friday, so we're going to do a recap. We're going to look at everything that's been moving and shaking for the week here on the show. Is there enough information out there? Or is there just too much gall-darn information when it comes to the world of Magic the Gathering cards, prices, new sets, tech that's coming out, cards are going up, cards going down. You can't really tell what's real anymore. Let me track them for you here this morning on the morning show. We can have a little fun together. We can get up and kick the dog, get moving and grooving for Friday because we like to share a little positivity with the world when we get up and we move. What do we got here? Hey, yo, I'm glad it wasn't a hard seltzer, right? Isn't it odd that everybody obviously assumes that the goo inside soap dispensers is always soap? I like to fill mine with mustard just to teach people a lesson. All right. What do we got on the movers and the shakers list here today? We got some expensive stuff. I hate seeing the expensive stuff because it just reminds me of how much spare cash I don't have to spend on Magic cards. Mox Emerald up 5% to $4,839 from the unlimited block. My chef's knives can't get a date because it's too dull and never gets to the point. Very nice. Very nice. Keep the puns coming here this morning. I can't go a morning without at least a punwich and a bowl of pun salad. Bowl of puntastic. Mox Emerald, expensive card. Power 9. Well, this is usually the cheapest one of the Moxes. It is. It's usually at the bottom of the barrel. This and the white one are usually the cheap ones. You know, if the other day Harvey McGinnis had an interesting article. It said the indicators of the Magic the Gathering market, and on that list were the revised dual lands, also sealed commander or sealed collector packs, and then the third indicator was standard staples 30 days post release. If you want another indicator of the Magic the Gathering market, it's always not a bad decision to look at some of the reserve list power. The Power 9 is always a good indicator of how much spare money, I don't want to say free money, but how much money people have freed up to spend on Magic the Gathering cards. And Wizards of the Coast uses these sets that are coming out because as a gauge to see how much strength there is in the market for people to buy. And I think with the dwindling amount of people buying new products and the cost of new products going up, it's kind of puts the foot on the not on the gas pedal, on the brake or the clutch as far as people speeding into new sets. It's I will I'm glad I got $220 in trade for my foil Ravages of War. Ravages of War. Let's take a look at that card. Which one you got? The foil Judge promo? Destroy all lands. Oh, wow. This is the Portal one. I think Dustin messaged me the other day, said this one got a reprint. So we got the Judge promo, and then the Portal 3 Kingdoms. Is it this one that you sold? Yes, the Ravages of War. Let's see if this thing's tanked yet. You know what's really sad? Is like the Imperial Recruiter. You see this? $4,000 for at one period in time. This thing was as high as, what a crazy number here. What a crazy chart this is for Ravages of War. As high as $1,400. It seems unrealistically high for a card, but you know, this is the thing about some of these Portal 3 Kingdoms cards. Very, very risky if they see a reprint. Another card that got a reprint from Portal 3 Kingdoms was the Imperial Recruiter. And I was very Imperial because I bought the Judge promo and then it got reprinted in the Masters set, right? And the Judge, I went with the Judge promo at the time because it was the cheaper of the two options, the Judge foil. Now the Judge foil is worth $50. And the Portal 3 Kingdoms OG version, I think, was as high as $300, $400, or $500. Yes, it was $300, and now it's gone the same way. So be very wary about buying any of these P3K cards. Myself, I got stung once. I did not do like our friend Mill Master did. I did not sell mine. I thought, well, no, Portal 3 Kingdoms is going to be like good for a long time, but since it's such a rarely printed set, it's very risky, these P3K cards. I would say if you're going to invest in any cards from Portal 3 Kingdoms, probably not a good idea because they could get hit with a reprint. And then the Imperial Recruiter, the Ravages of War, it's pretty darn. I mean, if you're this is like the best way, the only way you can go good is if you like trade it into at a peak time for maybe something like this Mox Emerald, right? I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd rather be selling it than be buying any Portal 3 Kingdoms card. Time Walk 3 Kingdoms 2. What was that called? It's the Return of Zenzu, I think it's called. It's the time warp, right? Return of the Wild Speaker. Oh no, maybe it's not. Let's look at the chart of this Power 9 card. We're going to see some Power 9 on the all list. This is a pretty good indicator of the market, the buying power of people, the capture of Zinzu. Thank you. Another card that was reprinted in Portal 3 Kingdoms as a different name, right? Look at the dips on this chart here. Let's just take a look before. Let's just take a look at this chart. Mox Emerald heading up to about $8,000 for the longest time, and then here it's been taking these wild price dips down. So it could be that somebody's been buying them for cheaper, maybe beat up copies on the open market. But I think this is a pretty good indicator of how much disposable income people have in the game of Magic the Gathering, and it's not a lot. These prices are going to stay. See this, like it's almost hitting its head off of this resistance line right here. It keeps hitting its head off this black line, this blue line, this green line, this pink line, this black line right here. It keeps hitting its head off of this resistance line. It's not going over that. It keeps trickling around, up and down, banging its head and clanging and banging around off of this line. And I don't think it until like something happens in the economy and we get a tick up in like earning power, cost of inflation comes down, interest rates come down, and people actually have a little bit of extra money to buy these things. There's a very, very slim chance that this thing is going to see an upward breakout. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some more softening in the price of these Moxen altogether. all of the Moxen. Sold out in the vendor stores. You can't get one at Card Kingdom. You could get a graded one over at eBay for $8,000 and a PSA 10 for 21,000. So what's going to be happening? You get a CCG, you get a $2,500 here. Magic Unlimited Mox, 2,500 HP. You want to get an HP? You can get one for 2,300. Here's the CCG graded 4.5. Let's see what that looks like. Is that even a legit? That doesn't even look like Dan Fraser's autograph. I suspect. Very suspect. I've seen Dan Fraser's autograph, but I don't think this is it. It could be, but to me, it looks suspected. Let's get the back of the card. 23 hundo. Oh, it looks like it has a nice crease in it too. Look at that. Nicely creased. Oh, yeah. Oof. Well, this sucker shuffles. Is it an alpha? It looks like an alpha. No, it's not though. It's got nice rounded corners from Unlimited. He was shaking when he signed the Power 9. Looks like a generous 4.5, doesn't it? With that crease in there. I'd pay $100 for that. So I don't think that to me right away that a signature seems off. I don't think he signs his name that way. He signs it with like a little differently, like this. There's the signature we're talking about. That's the signature. That's what it looks like. A little bit more like that. Dan. I don't think he signs it Fraser like that. Those classic rounded corners from Unlimited, right? Uh all right. So nevertheless, if you want to get some beat up power, here's the thing. While we're in this bearish economy and this bearish time where money doesn't buy. I had a conversation with a guy from the bank the other day. Yes, and here he is. Here's the banker that called me yesterday. He said, I got a call from the customer loyalty department because I closed an account and they didn't like that. They said, what was wrong, Mr. Alfonso? I said, you know what? I don't feel like you are treating me very well. And then we went on to have a 1.5 hour conversation about, how I deserve better. So it's funny because, sometimes people don't realize something is so good until it's gone. And I would suggest, shopping around, making sure you're getting treated really well. And I always tell folks, especially if you have a cell phone, the best time to call your cell phone company for new rates is in the morning. Always call first thing in the morning. If you're thinking you can do better on your cell phone, make sure you call first thing in the morning because the people who do those types of customer service are probably worn out and beat up for the end of the day because they have everybody yelling and screaming at them for 6 to 8 hours. So if you do call your cell phone provider and asking for a better deal, always call early and be nice as pie. And then you ask them, you say, I just wanted to check to see if I'm getting the best deal that I can possibly get and if there's anything that you can do to help me out. And usually they'll say, you know what? It looks like you've been a customer for a couple of 3 months, 6 months, and that new deal just came up that you weren't aware of, and then they'll just give it to you. So always check with your cell phone company, the bank, everything else to make sure because the onus is now on the customer. If you get a bad deal on a cell phone or you've got a bad deal on transaction fees at your local bank, they will never call you and tell you we've got something better for you and you're wasting your money. They won't. They'll let you just keep making the same mistake over and over again and paying way too much because they don't care. Even though they say they do in all the fancy advertising. It's like the salesman on the car lot, like this guy. He's like, hey, Brody. Boy, if I got a deal on a car for you, we're going to take care of you, treat you real nice. Then you buy the car, you drive it off the lot, and you come back the next day. It's got a problem. They say, well, who are you? And where did you buy this car? And let's just get you booked into the service department. I know there's a 6-week wait, but, we'll take your name and phone number and call you. So always shop around for better deals, especially in this climate. That's what folks have to do. And I told the fella that. I said, it's time for folks to be sharpening their steel and getting better deals on everything. Every service that costs money, I want a better deal on it and check and phone and unless they have offshore employees. Most of them do. Most banks are living in the past. They're still using CDs. Like CDs, like the discs, or certificates of deposit. Mill editing. Good time. Those classic rounded corners. All right, so this is a beta version of the Demonic Tutor. Limited edition beta, black version. If you want to get the Demonic Tutor, there's plenty of versions for you. What's the cheapest one? The Ultimate Masters one? This one, $45 for the Ultimate Masters. Hey, 5.5% on CDs these days. Really? Wow. I like the Demonic Tutor. It's also an interesting card. You can and here's why I like it. It's a card that they're still printing to this day and it holds value. It's arguably the best tutor in the game. The only one that could be better is perhaps the Vampiric Tutor, but this one puts it right into your hand, so that's why people like it better. It's sorcery speed. You can get it to this day, and you can always trade up into another version of it. If you open the Ultimate Masters, maybe you held that and you've got a revised one. Where's the revised? Revised. Alpha Beta revised. 40 bucks. $40 for a revised tutor. So pretty decent. You can always try and trade up. It's a long stretch to get past the $100 mark, but there's a few different ones that they have. They got the Judge promos. This is seriously Demonic Tutor. It looks like Demonic Tutor. Of course it does. Look at the art on this one. Robert O'Brien's here, and so is Michael Superbacker. Thanks for joining us here this morning. We're talking Demonic Tutor. We're talking prices. We're talking banks, CDs, making sure you're getting the best rate available. And then what do we got here? Bayou. More of the dual lands, right? These are the ones that guys are going to want to collect if they're blinging out the deck, the black bordered ones. $2,000. Ouch. This seems expensive. So a good sniff of the market here to see. Once we see any of these power cards or these old school power cards and the old school dual lands dropping in price, I think right now, even though we see these on the movers and the shakers list, we could go to the other side and look at the top losers here. See some of these, some showing the volatility. Like Recall might be on the winners list one week and then on the losers list the next week, because those cards have such few sales that they vary in price from high to low. So they'll be on the movers one week and the shakers the next week. I saw a bit of a ceiling over the Mox Emerald and the Bayou card. I mean, I'm more apt to get an unlimited or a revised version just because the black border is far too far out of my price range at $1,900. That's a lot of cabbage. But look at you see like what Harvey was saying just the other day. The good indicator of Magic the Gathering markets and buying power is the dual lands. And if you can see that we've got just such a softening of market here where it's come down and it's been flat for the last few months, and just a little tick up in price is what are your thoughts on foreign black border dual lands? I don't have any. I've stayed away from them. And my thoughts are this: I would really like some black border dual lands, but for me, I'm like, well, I'll just try and get. These are my thoughts. My thoughts are upsetting because I found out about foreign black border dual lands probably 7 or 8 years ago when somebody was playing them. I was like, wow, a beta land. They're like, no, it's foreign black border revised. I think it was French. And you can still get the black bordered ones. And I'm like, well, why would I spend money on a foreign black bordered version when I could just like get the actual English black bordered version? And so I was like, one day I'll just get the English black bordered ones. And then I never did, because I thought that the foreign black bordered ones were like a cheaper substitute. And I was like, well, no, I want the real blackboard ones, and I never bought them. So my thoughts on foreign black border dual lands are honestly full of regrets. Wish I could have, would have, should have. Let's look at the price to see, do they have the foreign black bordered ones in here? Foreign, I guess they don't, eh? Interesting. We're gonna have to try and come up with a way to compare though, because like they don't have any. It's only the English ones. Or sort by high to low, all printings. Yes. So they're my thoughts on foreign black border dual lands. is full of regrets because when I first found out about them, I rubbed my nose at them and I said, no, I want I'll save up and get the black bordered ones, the English ones. And then I never did. And here we are years later, I don't have any. I feel revised duels have that bleached out, faded, that forward black border duels, and a limited don't. Yes, the art on the revised card is very washed out. It isn't as bright and it doesn't pop as much as some of the earlier ones. And you really notice that on some variants, especially in the betas. The art is just so much more brilliant, even though they're 30 years old. The color is just so darn tasty. Mox Sapphire, here's another card that's on the list of power. And like I said, I think we're going to see softening in these prices, especially for Moxen. At this point in time, do you know what I'm really actually considering? Is getting some collector's edition Moxen. I think that now or anytime in the next 6 to 8 to 12 months, while prices are low, like I think I missed the boat on any collector's edition cards. I only have 2 collector's edition cards. One was from Savannah Lion, which is Savannah Lions. He sent it to me. And the other one is Unholy Strength. I only have 2 collectors ICE International Collector's Edition. So I think that like getting some alternatives like that are playable is not a bad choice. I think if I was to go to get Moxen these days, I would like a variety. So I would go probably to get this collector's edition. Right now, let's take a look at the collector's edition Mox Sapphire. It's playable, right? And these things have dropped so far. Like if you just take a look here, we're at $3,000 in and around Modern Horizons 2, and now these have come down to $800. So like I know that $5,000 for a Mox Sapphire is like way out of the question. And even back here in 2021, $2,500 for a collector's edition Mock Sapphire was out of the question. But right now, $800 for a collector's edition Mock Sapphire actually seems like it's attainable. So I would say for myself, I'm looking more at these collector's edition cards right now because they seem quite quite viable. And we know that the market has been up in and around 2,500 for these before. So if we get a recovery, we know that it's definitely going to return to some pricing that is a little bit more representative of Moxen. So I think, and for me, out of the Moxen, look, seeing these on the chart, I see these two. I know they're moving and shaking and they're making a couple points up in price, but I think the big lesson here is to watch these small price increases and then they slowly come down so that you don't notice it. And then they bump up and then you get some attention. I think the International Collector's Edition are quite a tasty treat right now and would be viable for at least another 6 to 10 months. Those spikes for the last 3 months, so. All right, I no comprende. Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. I mean, I guess you could always proxy this. This is a card that's been popular for a long time. It's in the lands deck. It's a stacks piece. People hate it. It slows the game down. I love the card. All creatures get an upkeep of 1. It's just what do you do? Another card that boo hiss. Another boo hiss card. This would be a snakes card. Nobody likes this one, especially when you combine it with Winter Orb. It's basically a tax effect. It costs you 1 to keep your creature around, so it's an indicator it'll shoot up. That's right. Thank you, Hot Dice. Hiss at me here for this one. Another card that works great with Winter Orb if you're trying to get rid of people who are playing too many creatures, tokens, creating infinite creatures, and just trying to win that way. This is a way you can make them think twice on their upkeep step. It's expensive. Card I should have bought years ago, but why didn't I? Waited too long. I did. Now we're into like the Proxyville. What are we at? It was a size $8,000, and this thing keeps drifting. So I know for me, when I go to buy a expensive Magic card, it's like I really got to take my time and be like, okay, what one card am I going to buy? Because you look at all these cards and you're like, ooh, I'd like to get that. I'd like to get this. I'd like to get that. But it's like, while we're in this downturn, and it's going to last for about 6 to 12 more months, it's like now is a good time to just like patiently either build a buy list or mow lawns or put away any extra cash that you can to try and pick up one thing off of some of these lists. Now, this might be a little expensive, but I mean, I'd say even for myself, if I could save up $600 or $800 in the next 10 months to pick up a collector's edition Mock Sapphire, that would be good enough for me. Pendrell Miss for reserve list watch. Pendrell Miss, that's a good card. All right, let's add it. It's a good card. Pendrell Miss. Pendrell Miss. Is there one L in Pendrell? Weatherlight. It's a good card. LMNOP. Let's refresh. Let's get refreshed here this morning. Watch cards. Pendrell Miss? It's a decent one. Good enough to put on the list here. It's 3 mana. This is a cheaper version of the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, right? $5 if you want the same effect. And then there's also Magus of the Tabernacle, but this one's probably better. This is probably a better speculation. If you don't have the Tabernacle and you want to get something that does the same thing, this one gains the same effect to the board state. It costs you a blue and 3, and it's an enchantment that only costs you around $5. It's also on the reserve list, so it's definitely got some long-term holdability. Each creature gets during its player's upkeep to pay 1 or bury this creature. So an excellent, cheaper alternative for the Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale. The classic Sarah Angel on the list, up 11% from beta. And if you notice, you see a lot of these alpha and beta and unlimited cards showing up. Benelish Hero, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see this. I'll tell you, copying people's trades are actually not a bad strategy when it comes to markets. I picked up the Benelish Hero and I was picking up alpha commons a few years ago because, well, quite frankly, I couldn't afford the alpha rares. And here's a card that's just sort of been ticking along steady. It was only worth $2.50. Then it went to $20-$30. And then people started realizing I'm going to need some of these alpha cards, even the commons, to finish sets. And now this card is sitting at around $60-$70, and it's never been a higher low for this card right now. That high end has the Tabernacle price, right? That high end has the Tabernacle price, lol, at support. All right. It's that time, folks. I got to roll. It's been a slice and it's been nice. It's Friday, and if you folks are heading out to play Friday Night Magic, make sure you bring a friend. And if you can't bring a friend to Magic, or you're not going, you can always bring a friend to Brody's and stop by here and have a little fun with me. Maybe watch a replay or catch me on the weekend or whatever you folks may be doing today. Whether you're at work, maybe you got the day off. It's Friday. Try and have a little bit of fun, relax, stay casual. It's Brody Alfonso here in the morning show, joining you folks on an adventure to track the prices of Magic cards and Magic finance. I love it. It's a good way to start the day, and I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. I will be in touch on the Discord and on Twitter. And Dustin, I do have some, what's the word? I do have some explaining to do. Well, let's turn it over to Ron Burgundy here for a little bit of jazz flute, little outro here this morning on a Friday, February 23rd edition. I had a good time yesterday, but today's been even better. I told my niece I saw a moose on the way to work this morning, and she looked at me and she said, "How do you know he has a job?" All right, watch out for animals on the way to work. If you're driving, they have jobs too, you know. They're just trying to make a living.